I forgot to record the webinar. All right. So that's how I got into the business. Set aside some money and we started the paternity testing business. And luckily, I'm not gonna lie, I have my mom to help me from time to time. I'm kind of off on my own now. I can do it completely solo dolo or with my wife now, but she helped me get started. And it's always good to have somebody help you get started. So in the chat box, please, y'all tell me, first off, for the folks that were already in here, you told me where you're from, and I appreciate that. Tell me where you're from and tell me in the chat box, why do you want to get into the DNA testing business? I'll go ahead and let y'all type that in. It's a great business to get into. It's always needed. Ohio, New Jersey, there you go. That's what's up. New Jersey, yep. I got a client that I'm working with right now out of New Jersey. And I'll get into that, how you can work with people in different states and you never even see them. It's definitely possible. Want to start a business? Okay, good. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, that's right. Yep. Jersey in the building. That's what I'm talking about. Washington State doesn't sound like a loser. Yeah, you're right, Sierra. Yeah, you're right. Supplemental income. Yep. You're right, Sierra. And I'm going to get into that. It's not extremely hard to start. It's not. The challenge is the patience that you have to have. You're dealing with clients and you're dealing with very emotional situations. So that's the challenge. Already working for myself and I would like to add to it. Good. Yeah. It's a good business to add to whatever business you're running. Okay. Great. Great. Looking to start a business that has control of my life. Also helping others get clarity. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. It's a good feeling. Artea, am I pronouncing your name correctly? Artea? It's a good feeling when you get someone the answer that they wanted, and that they needed, and it helps them get that clarity. Looking to relocate to another state, so I hope that doesn't slow the process. No, it doesn't. No, nope. Technically, I can start another wing of my business. I can establish another city in the next 20 minutes if I wanted to. That's how easy it is. And but all that's in the course. So anyway, all right. So you guys have told me why you want to start this business. Okay. So what is DNA paternity testing? What is that? Why do people get DNA paternity testing? So paternity testing is essentially determining a biological relationship between an alleged father and a child. We always use the word alleged in this business because you don't know for a fact that that guy is the father. You don't. And below that, as you can see, there's other ways to determine a paternal relationship. You can do it through a grandparent test or a siblingship test or avuncular. That's a funny word. Avuncular means either the aunt or the uncle. That's another way that you can determine a possible paternal relationship. But a true paternity test where you get either that 0% or that 99.9998% cause of paternity is an actual paternity test between the alleged father and a child. That is what DNA paternity testing is, okay? In a nutshell, all right? Fact. And I've seen a lot of this in my actual results that I give out. 1 in 3 men who get a paternity test are not the father. And I got the link here to where you can actually check out, I have an actual source. 1 in 3 men who actually get a paternity test are not the father. For me and for my results, I would say it's about 1 in 4, maybe 1 in 5. A lot of the folks, luckily, 80 to 90% of the guys that I test are the father. But generally, people who get a paternity test are there's a 33% chance that they're not the father. And how about y'all? Tell me this in the chat. Have y'all ever experienced a situation to where you knew somebody that had to get a paternity test and they weren't the father, or they were the father? Tell me in the chat. Anybody you've ever known that had to get a paternity test and kind of what was the outcome? Of course, you're not giving names or dates or situations or times or anything like that because you want to stay confidential. But anybody you ever know had to get a paternity test? Both ways. Okay. Yeah. A relative. Yep. From Sheila. Okay. No. Yeah. It's it can be a very rough and emotional situation, you know. Her real wow, your best friend just found out your real dad at 37 years old. How'd that make her feel, Ortega? You said you were happy for her. Awesome, awesome. An ex of mine wasn't sure if his daughter was his. Wow, okay. He was happy. Yeah, that stuff is a big thing. Um, you know, we provide these answers, um, and it can have an effect, or it definitely has an effect on people's lives, especially if they're older. Especially if they're older, it can have an effect on people's lives. Yeah, I'm going to get into a little bit of opinion, um, but between alleged father and mother, or alleged father, different mothers, or mother and different alleged fathers, there are sometimes fighting and disagreements and divorces and all this stuff that's going on. But ultimately, deep down, the person who gets hurt from the most is the child. That's the person who gets hurt most from it. If things are just going badly. So we want to help provide that answer. That's what we want to do. All right. So let me go ahead and move on. All right. So why do people get paternity tests? Why do they get them? There's two reasons: peace of mind and for legal reasons. Peace of mind and for legal reasons. So peace of mind, yeah, they just want to know. They don't want to use the results for any type of legal or court purposes. They just want to know. They have an inkling. They have an idea. They just want to know if that child is theirs, or if that person is their father. They just want to know. That's it. And I will get into the test that you offer for that. Legal reasons. So legal reasons, you use a form called chain of custody, or a consent form, for a legal paternity test. So there's legal reasons. The reasons that I see the most are trying to get a man trying to get custody of his child, and he has to go through the court system in order to get custody. And if they weren't married, it was just they were an unmarried couple, and let's just say this guy either signed or did not sign the birth certificate. The judge says, hey, you have to get a court admissible paternity test in order to get custody of your child, if the child turns out is his. All right. So there's legal reasons: child support, trying to get off child support, or a woman may try to put him in on child support, but she needs, but she wants to go the right way and get the answers through a legal paternity test. Inheritance, hey, let's say some guy dies and leaves $50 million somewhere in his estate, and the estate attorney, some guy comes along, I come along and say, yeah, I'm this dude's kid. No, the estate attorney is going to say, hey, you need to get a paternity test to determine if you're truly the biological child. And it needs to be a legal paternity test. Okay. Immigration, for sure. If people want to bring in family, I had a call earlier, a lady from, she was in Detroit, but her family, or her mother was in, one of her relatives was in Nigeria. And that's an immigration DNA test. Social Security benefits, almost the same thing as inheritance. If you want to put a child on Social Security benefits, you have to provide a legal paternity test to say that. If you want to say, hey, this is my child, they need a legal court admissible document. Now, if something is, what do y'all think? If a paternity test is legal, and does that make a peace of mind test illegal? Does it make it illegal, or does it make it non-legal? Which one do you think? Tell me in the chat. I'd like to know what y'all thoughts are. So if there's a legal paternity test, does it make it illegal or non-legal? Okay, got two answers. Good. We're good. Non-legal, that's right. That's exactly it. A non-legal. That just means it's not court admissible. And the reason why it's not court admissible is because there is no chain of custody form. And for a legal paternity test, there has to be a third uninterested party. That will be you doing the actual test. That's you. Okay. You are the third uninterested party administering the paternity test, doing the swabbing, making sure the paperwork's squared away. Now, when it's just a peace of mind test and it's informational, then that is them swabbing themselves. And when they send it to the lab, there's no proof. There's no for sure proof who did what, who swabbed who, if everything was done right. So it cannot be court admissible. That's the reason why. All right, good answers. Good job, good work. All right. So what's the difference between a collector and a DNA agency owner? Now, you've probably seen me say, hey, get my free ebook on being a DNA collector or buy my course on how to learn how to be a DNA agency owner. There's a difference between the two, okay? A collector, they don't own the DNA agency. They work with a DNA agency, or they work for a DNA agency, or they work alongside a lab, okay? And they only collect samples. So they only do those legal court admissible paternity tests. And they go out, or the people come to you in the office and they collect the samples, as in it's just a swab, okay? They're more reactionary. So they react to calls to collect samples. They might not get calls sometimes for weeks or months, depending on how they network. So they'll only get a call either from the lab or from a local DNA testing company like myself to say, hey, I need you guys to go do a collection for me. Okay, for example, perfect example. Somebody, I think that might have been Quintessa, I believe, is in Atlanta. I believe somebody's in Atlanta. I'm in Atlanta right now. All right. I'm having my wedding ceremony in a couple of days. Okay. So let's see who says that. Yep, Quintessa, that's right. I remember. So I'm in Atlanta. Thank you. I appreciate it. Let me go back on this slide here. Let me go back. All right. So I'm in Atlanta, and most of my business is based in West Texas. All right. I had a paternity test yesterday where I'm in Atlanta. The lady was in West Texas, and she had to get her kids' DNA samples collected to send off to the lab. I called a collector. There's a facility I can call. Boom. Hey, this is this lady. This is the children's information. Can you guys please go collect on this? Okay. The last collection that they did for me, because I've done a couple myself, was maybe about 2 weeks ago. So you might go a couple weeks or a couple months or times or a month. It depends on how you network or the relationship that you have without getting a collection. And I administered that entire DNA test from my cell phone. Okay, by just calling people, email, text, sitting an invoice in Square, and made $300 something. And the collection fee was only $25. That's the only money that they made off of that collection with me. All right, and I made 300 and X change dollars. Okay, yesterday. All right, so that's a difference. That's a collector. Okay, so being a collector is good for someone who doesn't necessarily want to start a full business yet, but you want exposure to the industry of DNA testing. Okay, that's good for you. If you just want to be a collector, and in my course, I show you how to become a collector, and also in the free ebook that you probably downloaded. That's the reason why you're on my email list. Is shows you how to properly become a collector. Thank y'all for the congratulations on the wedding. Thank y'all. I appreciate it. I'm excited, and we're a little nervous, but everything's gonna be okay. Okay, so an agency owner. Okay, an agency owner is the business owner. That's me. That is me. I am the owner of Assurance DNA. I have people who have bought my course are now agency owners. All right. They are partnered with a DNA laboratory. Okay. They are partnered as a reseller or a distributor. So they sign a contract with a DNA laboratory or multiple DNA laboratories. Like, for example, I'm going to sign a contract with a DNA laboratory probably the next couple of days. And when you're partnered with a DNA laboratory, you can now push out your services. You can advertise it. Hey, you can do all types of stuff. You can do, and I'm going to list the testing services you can do. You can do regular paternity testing. You can do non-legals. You can do grandparent siblingship, deceased. You can do referrals for immigration DNA tests. You can do all types of stuff. You can build your business. You can expand it. You can scale it. You can sell your business. Okay. A collector can't do that. They're just a collector. Okay. You can fully advertise your stuff and service. You can meet with attorneys. You can meet with judges. You can do all types of stuff as long as it's legal and ethical. You can fully grow that DNA testing business. You can outsource aspects to your business. VAs, other collectors, like I said, other collectors. There's a network. I have a network of 15,000 collectors across the country. I can do that easily. I can look it up in this portal that I have access to, which you'll learn in the course, where I can get a collector anytime. I have a test, like I said, I'm working from a lady from New Jersey. She's probably going to get a test in Brooklyn. All right. I just call up a collector for that. Okay. Do it all from my cell phone. So that's what you can do as an agency owner, and it's pretty cool. That's the difference. So if you want to make the big bucks, or get more of that profit margin, an agency owner is something you want to look at. If you want to just expose yourself to the industry and kind of just get a feel for it, you can be a collector. Guess what? An agency owner can also be a collector because I'm a collector. I can go off and collect samples myself. All right. I don't have to pay nobody. I pay myself. Okay. All right. How's everybody doing, by the way? Everybody good? Am I going too fast? Am I going too slow? Is there any questions about anything just yet? Okay, awesome. Good, good. So what do you need to start a DNA testing agency? I think this is one of Lee's chief questions that he had about what you need to start it and it's low cost, okay? So you don't have to do all these things in exact order, by the way, all right? You don't have to, but preferably in a general order, all right? So what you need to do is pick a name, something easily findable on Google, okay? Googleable, that's the word, Googleable. All right, you see those two names right there. All right, we got Philadelphia in the building, right? We got Jersey, I don't know, New Jersey Paternity Testing Services. I mean, you can get, I chose Assurance DNA, and I'm saying something easily Googleable because I learned the lesson. Assurance DNA is not easily Googleable, but El Paso Mobile Paternity Testing is, or El Paso DNA Testing is, or El Paso, something like that. All right, that's a little bit more Googleable. You want to get creative. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I have clients, my students in Paternity University. One started DNA on the Go, and she's from Louisiana, so she spelled Go, Geaux. All right, and yes, you're gonna have access to this recording. Yes. So once it's done, I'm gonna send this off to you all in an email. Okay. So the first couple minutes are cut off because I forgot to start recording, but the bulk of the information you're gonna have. So easily Googleable, okay? We got First Choice DNA, I got Bluegrass DNA, I got DNA on the Go, I got Big Easy DNA. So something relative to your city, is fine. You can do whatever you want. Incorporate your business. So, check with your state's Secretary of State information or a website for that on how to properly incorporate it. You don't have to do that immediately, but, if you want to get it out the way, that's completely fine. That's, getting an LLC or a S Corp, however you want to do that. That's up to you. That's your choice. I'm not telling you what to do. Get your EIN or your employee identification number or employer identification number free from IRS.gov. You don't have to pay anybody for that. You don't pay anybody for an EIN. You can get that in 7 minutes. Set up your business bank account. Now, in order to do that, you have to have your LLC or your incorporated information in your EIN. But you always want to keep your business and personal funds completely separate. All right. The next thing that you need to do, here you go. Boom, buy your domain name. Whatever you came up with. I have multiple domain names. I think DNA testing near me, El Paso DNA, and then assuranceDNA.com. Buy your domain name, whatever. Philadelphia DNA Services, Philadelphia DNA, DNA Philadelphia, whatever you want to call it. Nucleus DNA testing, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Buy your domain name. Now, do your research on the labs to partner with. I have a whole list of labs. There are about 40 AABB accredited paternity testing labs in the world. And I have a list of all of them that's in the course. And I have a short list on one of the next slides that shows you some of the chief labs to partner with. You're going to contact that lab and apply to be a distributor or a reseller. Two labs are very easy to contact. That is Universal Forensics and DNA Diagnostics Center. Very easy. I am partnered with DDC. I'm going to be partnered with Universal Forensics very soon. I know exactly who to contact with DDC. When you guys buy the course and you get access to the Slack group, I will tell you exactly who to contact, okay? And if you have any problems, I will help you, okay? You're gonna sign the lab partnership contract. They're gonna send you a contract and say, hey, this is it's called the fee schedule. This is how much this is how much the lab is gonna charge you to run, test the samples of the DNA test. All right. So very quick sidebar. Okay. How does this all work? I go deeper into it in the course. Okay. You do a DNA test. Okay. Somebody calls you. Hey, I want a legal paternity test. You say, okay, great. That's going to be $350 or $400, depending on where your area is. And you swab them. You send it into the lab that you're partnered with. Okay. And then what you'll do is you'll kind of wait. The lab will say, hey, we received it. Hey, hey, when I'm sorry, Lee, we're going to charge you $130 to run the samples. Okay, well, you charge that person $400. They charge you $130. So I don't do math in public, but that difference is $270. Okay, make sure I'm right. Am I right? Tell me in the chat. Am I right? 400 minus 130 is 270. I think I strongly believe it is. I have a 99.999% certainty that it is. But that's your profit. Okay, that's your profit. That's what you get for a DNA test. And in the course, it shows you exactly how to do one and how fast it is to do it. Okay, so that's a quick little sidebar on how that relationship works. Set up your professional email. So you don't want to have Philadelphia DNA at gmail.com. You want to have, I have cs@assuranceDNA.com. CS stands for customer service. Probably should have thought about that a little bit more when I set it up. Should have just been service. That's why I'm telling you. This is the reason why I have the course. Service at yourcompany.com. And you can get that through G Suite or Squarespace or whatever web hosting company that you have. Okay. Set up your Google Voice number or a separate business phone line. I have two phones, one for the DNA and one for the wife. All right. Set up a separate business phone line. If you want to do that, you can set up a Google Voice. That's fine. That's free. Google Voice is free, but you want to have a separate phone number and a separate email. You want to keep everything separate. All right. Get your logo from Fiverr. Too easy. I got my logo from Fiverr, both Paternity University and Assurance DNA. Got them from Fiverr. I don't know, 40 bucks, 50 bucks. Okay. Set up your, now this is extremely important. This next step, set up your Google My Business account. Man, that is important. I'm gonna give you a little cheat code. This isn't even the course. All right, so you're getting some exclusive information. Google My Business prefers offices. All right, in Google My Business, when you set that up, so whenever you, and answer me in the chat, whenever you look up something, you look up, I don't know, Five Guys near me, or you look up laundromat near me or something like that. It pops up on Google, right? Something pops up and it has all little red pins that pop up, and it shows you who is where and what their rating is, how far they're from you. Okay, that's what you're gonna get on. Okay, Google My Business. That's what that is. That's extremely important. That's how people find you for your DNA testing business. So you want to set that up. Here's a little secret. Okay, Google prefers offices or buildings. You can do your house, but you're not going to want to show your house on Google, right? So when you do that, you're going to tell Google to hide your house, all right? And then you're gonna be established as a service area, okay? When you're a service area on Google, it's a little bit more difficult for people to find you as opposed to when you're an actual location, an actual business location, office building. Secret, here we get to the secret part. Has anybody ever heard of a company called Regis? Regis, tell me in the chat. You ever heard of a company called Regis before? Let's see. Yep. I'm about to answer your question, Sheila, about having a brick and mortar or it can be mobile. Yeah, Regis. Yeah, Regis. Got it. So Regis is a co-working space. Okay. So what you can do is set up an account with Regis, or you can go down. You can go down to your local Regis or whatever co-working space you may have in your city. Usually there's a Regis. They're pretty solid. And talk to them. Hey, I have a company. I want to set up. What I learned when I started this was that you can have a Regis account and you can use that Regis address on your Google My Business. Okay. You can either have a regular account or you can have a virtual office. Google really isn't gonna know. They're super hippie. They're weird. Okay, but they're not really gonna know the difference. Okay, and you can set that Regis building as your office. Have an actual account with them. All right, and the next step is when you actually have a DNA test, you can do it mobile. You can. I have done mobile. I think Sheila asked that question. I have done mobile. I've gone to people's homes. I don't really feel too comfortable with that. There was a situation I had where I thought the dude was, I'm from Texas. I had to have that thing on me, you know what I mean? Which is a little weird, all right? Or you can meet people at like a FedEx or something like that, or a UPS parking lot and swab them. That's cool. You can do that. That's great. Yeah, you can. Or you can use the Regis account that you have, Yeah, Ortega said, I hear that exactly. You know what I'm saying? You know, people are a little weird. Or you can use that Regis account that you started. Okay, and here's the secret: you can there's an app that they have on Regis. Okay, and you can set up a time where you can rent uh, an office space, like an actual small office. It depends on the area, from like 18 to like $28 for an hour. Okay, and you can rent that space and you can say, hey, come to my office. They don't really know that's your office for real. It's a co-working space. They come on up, this professor, oh wow, this is a nice building. They come on up and you swab them in that office and you go, and that's it. And you pay by the hour. You used to have a lease. You used to have a 3, 6, 12-month lease for Regis. Because of COVID, they changed it to now where you can just rent it for an hour. All right. Trust me, I've done it multiple times. So check that out. That is exclusive information that you only get in that Slack group that I'm talking about in the course. All right. Okay, so on that Google My Business, you use that Regis business address for that. Sometimes Google they would immediately verify you, which is great, or they would send that location some mail to have you verify with a little code. If you verify it, you're good to go. All right, do that. All right, set up your Square or your Stripe account. Okay, so Square is great. Square Appointments is awesome. I use that for invoicing. Okay. Stripe you can use for invoicing too. It's a little bit more cumbersome, but Stripe is more back end stuff. So if people want to just buy a kit from your website, if they want to, most 99% of the time people call. They call and they want to ask you a bunch of questions of what they need, and that's what you should do. You should answer their questions. And I have a whole sales script in the course. All right. Does anybody have any questions about how to start one? Anybody have any questions about how to start? Does any of this seem kind of simple? What do y'all think? How much money do you think you will need to do all this? Tell me in the chat. I would like to know what your predictions about how much money you need to start this with all these things that we're doing here. $1,000? No, sir. No, Lee. You don't need that much money. Maybe it depends on where you are. Maybe if you're in California, you know, the LLCs, set up an LLC is a little bit different. Some say that California, New York, they're a little weird. Okay. I started Assurance DNA. Let's see, the LLC was $100. I had to input $50 for the business bank account. I set up a different phone line, but I had a flip phone at the time, so that was cheap. I bought a flip phone for $100 and paid $20 a month for it. So all in all, it was less than like $400 for me, all in all. Then the advertising, yeah, you already have an LLC. Okay, cool. The advertising was the one. Oh, great question, Lee. Excellent question. Testing supplies. Guess what? The labs provide testing supplies to you for free up front. What you're paying for when the lab does the actual testing, like when they receive your samples, they charge you on the back end. So I can call the lab that I'm partnering with right now. Hey, I can call the plug up. Send me 15 or send me a box of 25 legal paternity tests. They'll say, okay, great. They'll pretty much ship it, do 2-day shipping for me, send it to me. And they'll do that for everybody. They send it to me with no upfront cost. And there you go. I have now somebody do 25 times 350. What business bank account can you start with $50? It was Navy Federal. Since I'm military, I have Navy Federal. So I don't know. I think Chase maybe a little bit more possibly. But try Chase. I wouldn't go Wells Fargo. Chase is pretty solid. If you're military or military adjacent, definitely go with Navy Federal. Wells is 500. Yeah, we don't do Wells Fargo. I don't do Wells Fargo. They did some scanning stuff years ago, so don't worry about that. All right. So the lab sends you testing supplies up front. So yeah, 25. Usually they send off 25 kits to start off with, depending on what they'll ask you. How much do you think you're gonna sell or whatever per month or something like that? And they'll send you a box of kits. All right, and I can just call them up anytime. Hey, send me this, or go on the portal. Hey, send me this, and they'll send it, and I get it up front. All right. No need for paying for testing supplies. Okay, great. What labs can I partner with? What labs can you partner with? Do you pay a monthly fee? No, you do not. You don't pay a monthly fee. You do not. Nope. You can just have the kits and be sitting on them And the only thing that you pay is when you finally do a test and you send in the samples to the lab, and they charge you a day after they receive it. All right. And so, for example, I'll give you the numbers. All right. I charge $350 for a paternity test in El Paso. If I do it myself, will we have your absolutely? Yeah, you'll have my contact info. Absolutely. You will have my contact info for guidance, and you can also set a consultation if you want to. Yeah, she said, yay. So though they don't pay a monthly fee, I charge $350. The lab charges me $126 for a regular legal paternity test. So my spread is what's that? I might be wrong. What's that? 174. I don't do math in public. Oh my gosh, I don't have my calculator in front of me. But that's my spread. That's what they charge me. That's it. There is no monthly fee. There is no like hitting anything. All right. You eat what you kill in this business. Okay. At the moment, I don't know what the labs gonna have up their sleeves, but I doubt they're gonna do that. Okay, what labs can you partner with? All right, you can partner with DNA Diagnostic Center. I spoke on LabCorp. They're cool. They're like a super massive lab, and they don't just focus on paternity testing. That's the thing. They do all types of like blood work and all types of testing. So their focus is not that. Universal Forensics is great. Their focus is paternity testing. Ravgen, their focus is informational, non-invasive prenatal paternity testing, which I can get into in just a second. And there's a few more, but those 4 are generally ones to aim for. DDC is pretty solid. Universal Forensics is a smaller company. They're good to work with. Ravgen is super massive. LabCorp is super massive, and Ravgen is great too if you want to offer prenatal paternity testing, which I'll talk about in just a second. Okay. All right. Researching the competition. So here's how you do market research on your competition. Okay. So when this video is over, take out your phone, look up DNA testing near me, paternity testing service. Specifically on Google, look up the word paternity testing service or DNA testing service near me, or how to get a DNA test or something like that. And look at the actual companies that are on Google My Business. There's companies that advertise in your area, but those companies might be big nationwide companies that are just advertising specifically in your area. Look up the specific DNA testing companies in your area, in Philadelphia, in Jersey, in Seattle, wherever you're at, Atlanta, okay? How many Google reviews do they have? What are their stars like? Call them up tomorrow. Do they offer mobile services? Do they only have a facility that you can go into? Okay. Are they open on the weekends? I'll tell you this, most DNA testing companies are not open on the weekends. That's opportunity for you. Okay. If you have free weekends, you can do DNA tests on weekends. People want their answers. Okay. Call them. Ask them what lab are they using? Ask them, hey, excuse me, what lab are you partnering with? Is the lab accredited? And I'll talk about accreditation. That's in the course. I'll talk about AABB accreditation. That's in the course. And what's your prices? Ask them. You don't want to, ask them, hey, how much do you charge for a standard legal paternity test with one child? I just want to know. Okay, and then call up another one and ask them the same question. How much do they charge for a non-legal? How much do they charge for a kit? How much do they charge for a prenatal paternity test, which I'll talk about what prenatal paternity test is. Okay. Those are the basic questions. I have about, I think, like 10 more questions that you can ask. That's in the course, though. Okay. All right, money. All right, here's what y'all all came for. How much can you charge? It depends on what you're offering, the service that you're offering, and the competitors in your area. It depends. All right, quick story. My mother, who I learned this DNA testing business from, she is based in Atlanta. Okay. So shout out to Atlanta once again. And she did a DNA test the other day in San Diego, California, okay? Using a collector that I connected with I put out a tweet about needing collectors. We trained the collector. My mom charged $495 for a paternity test out there and paid the collector $125. My mom essentially made $495 minus $125 in about, 20 minutes from a cell phone and across the country, literally 3,000 miles across the country. And the reason why I say that is that's that range, that standard legal range where you said 300 and 500. The average paternity test is around 350, 375, 400 is is pushing it. But in certain areas such as San Diego, LA, New York City, you can charge higher. You can charge $495, $500 because the cost of living is higher and people generally make more money. They bring in more money over there. Okay. And these are the ranges of what you can charge. That's your gross, that's your revenue of what you can charge. Now the labs are going to charge you, X amount. They're going to charge you $108, $126, $130, whatever. And guess what? As you go higher up in your price for how much you charge, what the lab charges you stays the same. They don't step it up based on what you charge. So if you charge $500 for a test, they're always going to charge you $120 or $130 or something like that, whatever fee schedule they give you. Okay, so that's the beautiful thing. You can scale it. You can increase your profit margin based on the services you offer. Now, we all see that 4-figure one right there, that non-invasive prenatal. that's a big one. Did anybody know what a non-invasive prenatal paternity test is, or a NIP? Anybody ever heard of that before? Tell me in the chat. And if you think you have an idea, tell me what you think it is. No, okay. Sheila says no, never heard of that before. Okay, so this is a pretty, yeah, there you go. Russ got it right. Testing while pregnant. That's correct. Yes. So there is a paternity test out there that you can do called a non-invasive prenatal paternity test. Okay, that is a woman wanting a paternity test while she's still pregnant. Okay, and I get into exactly how you do that in the course, but there are only a few labs and only a few DNA testing companies that actually do that. So a non-invasive prenatal is they just put a needle in, they draw blood from the woman's arm, and they take the fetal DNA from the woman's blood draw. Okay, that's it. That's all there is. Okay, and then they swab the alleged father with a mouth swab and send the samples in, and you get your money from there. Okay. The reason why they charge so much is because, number one, here's a little secret. DNA Diagnostic Center is the only AABB accredited, American Association of Blood Banks accredited laboratory that can do non-invasive prenatal legal paternity tests. They're the only one. That's why they cornered the market. That's why they can charge so much. So the reason why you charge $1,200 to $1,800 and you want to probably charge for a DDC, you will have the prenatal kits, they send them to you. The reason why you want to charge between $1,600 and $1,800 is because DDC charges you $1,200 to do to actually run the samples, because they have the market corner and it's sophisticated technology they do it with. Okay, but I would say 7 out of 10 calls I get are for prenatal paternity testing. They ask for it every day. How can I get a prenatal paternity test? Okay. Do you need to be a phlebotomist? No, you don't. Good question, Lee. Lee, you're on fire. You're asking all the great questions. No, you don't. So you can outsource that. I outsource all my prenatal paternity tests. All right. So for example, I had a prenatal lady paid me $1,600. I sent her to a facility in El Paso. They had licensed phlebotomists there. A phlebotomist, by the way, is someone licensed to draw blood. That's what that is. Somebody licensed to draw blood. Okay. I have another one that I'm working right now that's going to be in Brooklyn. I'm charging $1,600 for that one. Okay. Guess how much these phlebotomists are charging to draw blood. Try to guess. I love to see what you guys think. Lee? No, sir. They're charging a very smaller, much more incrementally smaller number than that. So even smaller. Oh, even smaller. Go lower than that. Go lower than 500. I know somebody's like, they're racking their brain like, there's no way. 40 is about right. Yeah, that's about right. Yes, Lee, you're correct. Generally between 35 and $50 is how much a phlebotomist charge. So if I charge $1,600 for a non-invasive prenatal, DDC charges me $1,200 and the phlebotomist charges me $40. You make between, what's that? Like I said, I don't have my calculator in front of me, but you can make between $360 and $400 or so profit off of that. And you never touch the client. Half the time you don't even see them because you send them straight to a facility. You're brokering. Sometimes as a DNA agency owner, by the way, you can't do this as a collector. As an owner, you're brokering a lot of stuff. You can also go collect too. You can swab, but if you're not a licensed phlebotomist, you can't draw blood. So you have to outsource that to a facility, and you can go with any lab test now. You ever heard of that before? Or if you become a partner with BDC, they give you access to a portal that has 15,000 collectors across the entire country that you can call up anytime and ask them, hey, I got a prenatal test that I need you guys to do. The mom's going to come in tomorrow. She's already paid me. I'm the agency owner. How much do you charge to collect? Oh, $35. Okay, great. Thanks. I will let you know when she comes in. She's going to come in at this time. This is her name. And just call me when you guys are done to take payment. That's it. That's it. All right. The other types of tests. What about hair sampling? Okay, great. Oh, the last one. I'm sorry, my little thing's in the way. That says discrete paternity testing. So Sheila actually asks, she's asking the right question. So hair sample testing. No. So hair sample testing, I got a call about that earlier today. That's called the discrete paternity test. Okay. And normally we only do mouth swabs. And that is for when everybody is aware that a paternity test is happening. But some people want to do a test and they don't want, the guy to know, or whoever to know, or the kid to know. So they can, get a piece of hair from the root. I don't have much hair, so I can't really demonstrate that. Or they cut nails very close to the nail bed, and they can send those samples in. So what you would do is you would sell them the kit. It's basically the same kit as the non-legal paternity test. It's not a legal paternity test, or it's not court admissible because everybody's not aware that a paternity test is happening. All right. So you can sell them that same kit and say, hey, yeah, you can take hair from the head or nails. It's not as nearly as good as a mouth swab, but you can do it. Okay. Provide those nails in the sample. Take this kit. You're going to send it into the lab, and I will let you know. The lab is going to give me an answer within 5 to 7 business days, and you'll get your answer determined. First off, the lab can determine if there's enough DNA on the samples that you can even do a DNA test. And then the second thing is, if there is, then they're going to test it against your mouth swab. People do that. Yeah, great question, Sheila. I got a call about that today. And I charged the lady $350 for it. And I think the lab only charges like $200 or something like that to do that. All right, so I make $150, and I don't ever even see the person. I just send it to them. All right, yeah, people do that stuff. They do it all the time. All right, it's wild. So that's a discrete test. Infidelity too. I had a guy call me. He never went through the test. You're gonna get that a lot. So you're gonna get a lot of calls, and people, they're so emotional, or they're angry, or they just had an argument, and they just want answers, or they want to figure out how to do something, and they may not ever buy your service. That's fine. It's patience, and I'll talk about that a little bit later in this webinar. Infidelity. I had a guy call me a couple weeks ago. Hey, I want to find out if my wife's cheating on me. I have a garment that has most likely somebody else's sperm on it, and I want to send in that piece of that garment. He's kind of gross. He said he took a cotton swab and swabbed it, put it in the freezer or whatever. He's like, I want to do that, determine if my wife's cheating on me. I'm like, if somebody else's sperm is in your car, you think it's not yours, you didn't do that, but okay, fair enough. People do that, it's all types of very emotional stuff, but you can sell infidelity tests too. So, those are all your different sources of income. You know how we always talk about everybody needs to have 7 sources of income, but in your business, you can also have 7 sources of income. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's at least 8 right there. Sources of income that you can have within your paternity testing business. Okay. Here's the most important aspect of starting this business. Like I said, patience. I didn't get my first client. Let's see, I started this business in December. I didn't get my first client until January of the next year. Okay. Hey, yeah, that doesn't sound like much going on, but when you're starting, you're like, man, you're anxious, you're ready. You're like, oh my gosh, why am I not, getting this? But you got to think. Number one, it's a very niche business. Number two, you got to figure out where your customers are at. They're searching on Google. They're not on Facebook looking for this stuff, by the way. So don't waste your time making Facebook ads and Instagram ads and stuff like that. They're on Google searching for this stuff. So it's patience. People are very emotional. I've had people call me at 6 in the morning on a Saturday. I want a paternity test. Can you get here in an hour? And you can tell they just got done arguing. I'm like, ma'am, do you truly want a paternity test? Or are you, you need to have a talk with your spouse or whoever at the moment? Like, are you basically, do you want a DNA test or are you just angry? You know what I mean? Like patience, 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 because you're gonna get that a lot. But when that first DNA test comes and you make that first amount of money, and you get that person, you get that mother who just wants the answers. She had multiple partners, and we don't blame people for anybody. We don't shame anybody for anything, okay? But you get her the answer that she wants to have. That feels so good. You got a dad who has a 3-year-old kid, and he just has his doubts, all right? And he wants to be in the child's life. He really does, okay? And he gets that answer that, yes, that child is his. He gets that confirmation. And now he can take those results and he can apply for child custody now or full custody, depending on the situation. This is big. This is something bigger. And ultimately, you gotta have patience. Gotta have patience for this. Okay. So that's the most important aspect of starting this business. All right. So to wrap it up, are you ready? Tell me in the chat, are you ready to make money as a DNA testing agency owner? Are you ready? Tell me in the chat. Okay. I know y'all are. This is some really good information that there is nobody on the internet with this information. Literally nobody on the whole internet with this. This is like the best kept secret ever. Okay. So enroll in the course. This is what I'm offering to you and only y'all. So a little secret between us. Okay. The course actually, it was $197. It's $97. I've lowered it to $67. All right. And all this bullet list, this is all that you get. 82 minutes of content, the different types of DNA tests, how to speak to clients, how to swab, actually break out a kit and show you how to actually do a swab and how to fill out the chain of custody form correctly, how to set up your ads, okay? How to do your keyword research, the best labs department. I kind of talked about that already. All right. A sales script. So how do you answer calls? I put a collector contract in there. I did that today. I updated the course because, when you want to bring on a collector, you want to have a contract and say, hey, this is what you will or will not do. A contract that you can send through via DocuSign, a list of all the AABB accredited labs. That's an Excel format. And then the most important thing, access to the private community. I have a Slack group that I started with other DNA testing agency owners who are building their businesses, and they get to ask questions. Every single DNA test is different. Every single one. And I even, like I said, my mom, who's been doing this for 20 years, has not mastered every single one. There's some stuff where she's like, whoa, this is different, this is weird. But if you have this group, if you have this community, you can always ask questions and I can answer them. Or I can at least point you in the right direction. For sure, there's questions that I have, I just call the lab. They give me answers. Hey, you can't do that, or hey, you can't, or we advise you not to do this. Okay. So that course is $67. Let's say you buy that, you start up your business, so you're all in 400, 500 bucks, all in total. All right, starting up your business. Okay. You do a DNA test for $350. You pretty much mostly made you do 2 DNA tests, you made your money back. Gross revenue. Okay. And then it's on from there. It's all profit. Okay. So does anybody ready? They're excited. You ready to start? This seems very easy part of it. Yeah, it is. Yep. Rochelle, I see you raised the hand. Go ahead and type it in the chat, Rochelle, if you have any questions. Is it easy to partner with labs? Yes. So for example, Universal Forensics is another lab, AABB accredited. I've been meaning to partner with them for a while. The lab that I'm with right now, they kind of been acting a little foolish. You always want to have more than one lab that you're partnered with. I sent them an email. Hey, I want to partner with y'all. I'm a DNA testing agency out of Texas. He responds back, okay, cool. This is what we need from you. And then once we get information from you, we'll send you the contract. I'm waiting on the contract. But when I partnered with my first lab, I contacted them, told them what I wanted to do. They sent me the contract. I signed it. I was partnered with a lab. That's it. There's no cost to do that. And every single one of the DNA testing agency owners that I had in there, I walked them through the process. They were able to partner with a lab in like a day or two. It's not difficult. Because the more money you make is the more money the lab makes. What's the hardest part? There's not really a hard part of it. It's just maybe going back in the email. That's it, because they're just going to email you. That's it. And reading through the contract, knowing what you can and cannot do, you want to do that, of course. and it's through DocuSign. So it's pretty easy. It's not hard. Yes, does it have the potential to be a full-time business? Yes, it does. Yes, absolutely. You can scale it. Absolutely. I have a mentor in Alabama who makes $40,000 a month doing this, gross. He makes $40,000 a month doing DNA testing. I am military, so I don't run my business full-time. I run it part-time. My numbers for this month, and I'll be honest, like I said, my numbers for this month is $1,500. I've done about 4 or 5 DNA tests this month, and it's the 13th already. If this prenatal test goes through, that's another $1,600 on top of that, gross. Last month I did about $3,500, and I'm running it part-time, and I'm full-time military. Anybody in the military know what it's like. I've outsourced certain aspects of my business. My wife handles a lot of my calls. And you know, but that's over time of building it and learning it. Outside of broken work, you're almost only swabbing mouths. Yeah, I'm swabbing mouths and filling out the chain of custody paperwork, putting it in a FedEx package, dropping it off at FedEx, and letting the lab know, hey, got a package on the way for a test. And then I go into the portal and I enter in the information, and that's it. Literally, how long do y'all think a DNA test takes? Tell me in the chat. How long do y'all think the actual swabbing and filling out the paperwork takes? Yeah, Rashid's pretty close. Yeah, about 15 to 20 minutes. You know, the actual swabbing itself, let's see, you got 4 total swabs, two per cheek, you do 15 seconds. So the actual swabbing itself takes 1 minute. The actual filling out the paperwork and double and triple checking everything, yeah, that takes a little bit longer. That takes maybe about 5 to 10 minutes. The rest of your time, you're talking to the person. Hey, what's your name? Hey, can I see a picture of your identification? In the course, I go over exactly how to do a DNA test. It takes about 20 minutes. I trained my wife how to do one about 2 weeks ago. And then she was able to do a DNA test the next day, and it took her 15 minutes. You get paid up front. Other contracts need to be signed. Yes, I get paid up front. I used to say, in the very beginning of the business, I used to say, yeah, you know, you can pay me after services rendered. No, you paid me before. I'm gonna send you an invoice, you pay it. Then, you know, nobody gets collected on until that invoice is paid in full. Or if I have you on a payment plan, you have that deposit down. You can put people on payment plans for prenatal tests because they're more expensive. Are there contracts that need to be signed? No, except for a collector contract. You want to have a collector do something for you, like an independent collector. Yeah. So that answers that question. Does anybody else have any other questions? By anything, let me know. Do you know anyone who's drawing blood for a test? Do I personally know anybody? I have the facility I'm partnered with in El Paso, but do I personally know anybody who's drawing blood? No, not at the moment. So whenever I want to do that, wherever location is, I go into the portal and DNA Diagnostics Center's website that only agency owners have access to. I type in the zip code and I click the button that says blood draw, and I call that person and say, hey, are you guys got a phlebotomist on staff? They say, yeah. And I say, cool. And then I run the test through there. So I don't personally know anybody, but I can get access to anybody within the next 7 minutes in the country. Anybody got else? Any other questions? I know y'all ready to get started. Sheila, where are you at again? Are you in Philly? Here's the thing. You're in Florida. Nah, I think you're fine. Here's the thing. A lot of DNA testing companies are garbage. A lot of them are garbage. They suck. They have bad customer service, or they're not mobile, or they're not open on weekends. They don't answer the dog on the phone. The best thing to do is providing good service and listening to the customers. By the way, you know, a lot of the DNA testing companies get really big and they don't really listen to the customers anymore. I mean, you don't want to have them ramble on about their lives, but you want to listen to them and say, yeah, I understand. Wow, I'm sorry that happened. You want to feel interpersonable. So there may be other DNA testing companies around in your area in Florida, Sheila, in Tampa, but as long as you provide good service, yeah, okay. So yes, there will be a recording. I'm currently recording right now, and I will release this recording as soon as it's over, and I'll push out an email. When does the promotional price change? Excellent question. You got 24 hours. 24 hours and it goes back up to $97. Do you charge extra? The distance is far. Yes, I do. I did a test in El Paso, Texas. El Paso is on the very edge of New Mexico. I had to drive 50 miles out, so I charged an extra $50. Yep, absolutely. Yes. Good question, Lee. Good question. Thanks for that question, Jose. Okay. I'm going to wrap it up in a couple of minutes, but does anybody have any final questions? You want it to be worth it? Yeah, it will be worth it. You put in the work, you follow the steps, it'll be worth it. I have a couple of students that have put in the work and they're advertising on Google My Business. They've done a few tests. They've already made all their money back. In fact, the very first person that I taught how to do this, the course wasn't even made yet. I just DM'd him on Twitter. He DM'd me how to do it. I walked him through all the steps. He learned all that stuff completely for free, and he has done multiple tests already. Of course, you got to deal with people, and emotions and stuff like that. Can I have multiple satellite? Absolutely, Lee. Absolutely. I'm about to set up a satellite location probably next 24 hours for Dallas. I'm expanding to Dallas using the Regis method that I talked to y'all about. Rashid, you're welcome. Absolutely. Yeah, you can. You can have multiple satellite locations. I'm going to set up one in Dallas, probably Houston, and maybe Atlanta as well. Now, certain locations are better than others. It's so weird. For example, my mom, I talked to her about expanding. She expanded in 2 cities in Georgia that are smaller cities, and she is absolutely crushing it. She's not even advertising anymore. I was helping her advertise and set up all that. I helped her set up everything, and she was advertising for a few months, and then it just took off in those. And they're like smaller kind of cities in Georgia. They're not even major cities. She's not even advertising. She's completely profitable in those areas, and she has collectors do. She doesn't even drive those. She has collectors do it all. So proof of concept, yes, it can absolutely work. I'm expanding from El Paso to Dallas very soon. I'm looking for a collector out in Dallas. So if you know anybody in Dallas, let me know. Or of course, I just use the facilities out there. But I also want to pay people directly and have a contractor thing. Can you be mobile to collect? Yep, you can. You absolutely can. Mm-hmm. If you feel comfortable, you can go to people's houses. You can say, meet me at a neutral location, such as a FedEx. The reason why I say FedEx is because, at least with DNA Diagnostic Center, they send you everything via FedEx, okay? And they send you free shipping labels. By the way, when you mail off the samples, it's free, no charge to you. I'm telling you, it's a low startup cost, okay? So you can be at a FedEx and swap them in the parking lot, walk right in that FedEx and mail it off. That's it. It makes it easier. You don't have to be in a Walmart, nothing shady like that. You can go to their houses if you want to. I don't like going to people's houses. You might not come back out. I don't do that. That's not me. Or you got to have that thing, or you got to have somebody else with you. Have your homeboy or something like that with you, to be there. Yes, mobile notary and fingerprinting. Yes, it is a logical supplement. Absolutely. You know what else is a logical supplement that I intend on expanding? I haven't really told anybody. Drug testing. That's another thing. So that's a journey for me. DNA. A lot of drug testing companies do DNA testing too, as a supplement. And when one's dry, the other one's lift it up. Okay. So absolutely, yes, you can do that. Yep, drug testing. Yep, that's right, Rashid. You can do drug testing. I'm researching that, so I'm new to this, just like you are. With drug testing, the key to that is to get contracts with small to mid-sized businesses to do their drug testing. You can do individual clients. Yeah, you can advertise. People can come in and do a drug test, but the big money is in the contracts with the small to mid-sized businesses who need drug testing. All right, you can do that quarterly, and it's a whole process that you go through to do that. But pretty soon my company, Assurance DNA, will be Assurance DNA and drug testing. So 67 for the course. It'll be 67 for the next 24 hours. So until 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, and then it goes to 97. So you see where it says 197, ignore that. It goes to 97 after that. So you get about 30% discount. Yep. Okay. So yeah, this is recorded. Thank you, Jose. I appreciate it. This is recorded. I will send this all in an email blast to everyone, and I will send you the link to where you can get it for $67, only for 24 hours. Hey, follow me on Twitter. Oh, can't wait for the drug test. Yeah, I'll put it out when I'm actually successful in drug testing. I don't like to put out stuff when I'm not successful. There's no proof of concept. But thank you, Rashid. I appreciate it. You know, that's coming. So yeah, thank y'all. So I really appreciate it. I mean, this means a lot to me to be able to teach this information. No, you don't have to get one for the business. Do you need a background check? No. Labs don't do background checks at the moment. No, they don't. At the moment. No. Do you need a Twitter? No, you don't. You're welcome, Aaron. You don't need a Twitter. Look, for the business, my mom don't got a dog on Twitter. She ain't on social media like that. I'm on Twitter only because I'm addicted to Twitter. I love it. But all you need is a Google account and a cell phone. That's it. And a computer if you want to. Okay. So, all right, everybody. I'm gonna go ahead and end this. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter at Royal Skigi. If you want to email me directly, cs@assurancedna.com. Feel free, ask questions, whatever. I'll answer anything that you guys want. And I'm going to send this recording out. Okay. Next 24 hours, $6 to $7. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate it. And I might put this on YouTube too. All right. So y'all have a good night. Be blessed. Thank you.